Yeah, I killed him. I knew he was my husband, but I knew we were supposed to be together forever, and I ended forever. She asked me to come and meet her for lunch. She said she had something she wanted to tell me, and I knew her. I knew this girl. She was one of his girls, one of his mentees. He was always mentoring some girl or the other. I knew it wasn't because I was jealous. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't even angry. I wasn't angry that he lied. I wasn't angry that he took things from me that I can never get back. I wasn't even angry for the child that we lost. But when I saw this girl, she said to me, "Auntie, I want to tell you something, but I don't know how to say it." And I asked her what was going on. She said she was sorry, and she never meant to hurt me. But she had to tell me what happened. I asked her to sit down, and we talked. By the time it was over, I could barely sit still. She said he would come to her house when she had nothing. She couldn't afford her rent. She couldn't pay for her bills. And give her money. And then he would make her sleep with him. And she did it. And whenever she would ask him to stop, he would tell her it wasn't about her body or her sex. He was helping her. The bastard said he was helping her. So a few days ago, when I heard that she had killed herself, I knew I had to do something. Because you see, this is Nigeria. Nothing's going to happen to him. No one's going to tell him he was wrong. No one is going to put him in prison. No one is going to make him pay for what he did. And he's going to keep doing it. So I stopped it. I stopped him. Maybe that makes me a bad person because I killed him, but I stopped him. I stopped him. I stopped him. And he will never hurt another person again. Okay, it's a little difficult for me to describe myself at any given time, mostly because I change a lot. I find like that I'm one of the most evolving humans that I know. That used to be a problem for me because I thought it was a negative trait, but now I have a different view of that. But if I was to say who I am in a few words, I'm a creative. Probably in the most true sense of the word. Very hard to tie me down, very hard for me to sink roots in any one particular thing, because ultimately I want to explore all of life that there is. So I find that influences who I am per time. That's who I am. But what do? I act and I write and a couple of other things. for what I do whenever I'm on a project, whether I'm writing it or I'm acting in it, at the base or at the core of everything I do is storytelling. I had a conversation with someone at the beginning of this year, and I was telling her a story. And by the time I was done, she was crying, she was bawling, and she was actually surprised that she was crying. And she's like, "Oh man, Annie, this is what you're meant to do. You're supposed to tell people stories." And I've always kind of known that, but I haven't always been the person who could do it. So you know how you know what needs to be done, but you don't know how to get it done. And that's kind of been my MO for a long time. But recently, or as I allowed myself to open up to who I am, I realized that at the core of me is storytelling. And so when I'm writing, whether I'm writing or acting, it's at the back of my mind that my responsibility here is to tell a story. Tell it in as engaging a way as possible, but also as true to the story as possible. I think that this medium gives people the chance to be heard. And that's something that's extremely important for me as a person. One of our core needs as human beings is being heard and being seen. Writing helps you do that. Acting helps you do that. It gives the woman on the street who sells akara, for instance, the opportunity to be seen. She may never be seen from the day she enters this world to the day she leaves. But if I'm acting that character, people get to see her. They get to interact with her. They get to know what her life is like. If I'm writing her, they get to hear what she says and how she thinks and how she processes information. And, so that's kind of what informs what I write and what I act. If I get to tell a true story, something that exists and needs to be heard or needs to be seen, I think that would sum it up. When I'm writing a story, sometimes literally I just sit down and I'm silent. I'm not asking for inspiration, I'm not looking for inspiration. I just sit and I keep quiet. And I ask myself, what is something that has either happened to me or I imagine could have happened to someone else that could have been me, and maybe they wouldn't have ever gotten the chance to say it. That's kind of how I write. So my writing seems to be a little more gritty and nuanced and really very hard-hitting sometimes, because I try to write people. I try to write life. Because why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not have people experience life through the work that you do? And the same thing goes with acting. With acting, it's a little different because you don't necessarily get to choose who your characters are and the characters that you work with. But what it is for me is, once I'm given a character, immediately I shut the entire world out. I shut my own world out, because this person is not me. She didn't grow up where I grew up. She doesn't eat what I eat. She didn't have the father or the mother that I had. She hasn't had the experiences that I've had. She's a completely different person. And if I try to force her to live in my world, then I take away from the truth of her world. So I'm not thinking, how would Annie think? I'm thinking, how would whoever this person is think? And that's informed by the world that her story is in, whatever people she interacts with in the story, and so on and so forth. So it's very immersive for me, and very meta as well, in a sense. Because you're acting, but you're not, in my estimation, I don't act. I try not to act. I try to be that person. So that's, yeah.